Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the quick update to the Eastern Front, or the Bakhmut plus Siversk Front. So you can just call it Bakhmut Front if you want. So the Russian concentrated their main offensive over in the Eastern Front, particularly at the Bakhmut Front. This is Bakhmut city. So this is the most eastern edge of the Ukraine war, and in this region is actually part of the Donetsk Oblast. You can see this is Donetsk, the Donetsk region, and the Russians has been attacking in this region for quite some time already. So there is let's go from the top. There is fighting reported at Vimka. So the problem with Vimka is that we have no idea where the front line is. There is no indication of the capture of these few settlements to allow the front line to be like this. Maybe information is omitted, no one's reporting it, we have no idea, but there is fighting reported at Vimka. So there is a reported fighting at Vimka, and in the latest information, there's fighting reported at Vesely. So let me draw this line better. And then so the situation here, is kind of weird. So very little reports are being reported here, which makes me suspect that the forces around here is actually the Russian military forces. And because the Russian military regular forces do not have much reports from that region, usually where they operate. We get more information when the Wagners are there, the Wagner PMC, the private military contractors, or the militia groups from Luhansk or Donetsk. And so the Russians continue to attack, in the direction of Soledar, Bakhmutske. There was previous report of them flanking upwards, northward, but it was only one report at Pithorodne, but we never heard of it anymore. So maybe this one did not work out. So there's the Russians also attacking at Bakhmut, towards Bakhmut city. That they captured Vesela Dolena, and they are moving towards Opyne. They have captured most of Zaiseve. Ryba, the pro-Russian source, disputed against the Russian military defense ministry, saying that on the western side of the settlement, it is still Ukrainian controlled. So there is a fighting report in this direction, where the Ukrainians are actually holding this line here. Opyne, the Ukrainians are actually holding this line. So the Russians also have captured Orekdivka, and they have also captured this stronghold at this cross junction over here, just south of Orekdivka. And the forces here is now currently pushing Kudyomivka, where there is already another push coming from this direction. The Russians also attacking, Ozerinivka, and they are still currently trying to capture Mayos for some unknown reason. So this is the entire front line that looks like this. The Russians are trying to capture Bakhmut, and the way they are trying to get there is probably to go through this direction and to take out the entire southern region. And weirdly, there is a fighting reported at Ivanivske, reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry, which I don't think this happened. Don't make sense. And then they're gonna put pressure, on Bakhmut, and they're gonna flank north and encircle the city. I believe this is what they are going to try to do. And from this direction, they're gonna push out. And because there is a major city of Torres, there's likely and then there's heavy entrenchment around here. There's heavy entrenchment in this region, and it makes it very precarious for the Russian forces to go through in this direction. I don't think they will do that. They will actually go from the rear. They'll avoid all the major entrenchments, and then they will actually try to go and move to the rear and encircle Torres. This is what I think is likely to happen. It's a bit of speculation, I understand, But this is what I think the Russians are trying to do. At Soledar, they are penetrating this directly into the settlement, because this is a very, very heavily entrenched position. They need to capture this area of Soledar, and then from Soledar they will be able to cut off this supply line, and then they can actually move towards Zelizyansk, and continue to do this massive encirclement around Bakhmut. Because when you penetrate through the northern part, the resupply of Bakhmut will be in question, especially because they currently have two routes. The Ukrainians have this route, which allow the Ukrainian forces to go northward to reinforce any areas on top, and then they can actually they also need another route. This is another reinforcement route in the south. So all this push is trying to cut off all this reinforcement route. Yeah, so if the Russians are able to cut off this, then Bakhmut will be in deep trouble, because then they will only left with this tiny road. This is the only road left, and but if they are able to capture this road, this road will be also probably game over. So the Ukrainian forces, knowing this, they are holding very strongly at Soledar. They are currently doing their best to hold this position. Let me draw better. This is horrible drawing. Whoops. They are trying to hold Bakhmut as well, because they know the importance of Soledar, because this will allow the Russians to go backwards. And this supply route is very important, because this connects the Siversk front to the Bakhmut front, and this cannot fall. If the Russians cut off this line, then this will stop to become a congruent defense, and any resupply route will have to go one big round. The Ukrainians will have to go one big round to reinforce, and this is not ideal at all. So, which is why the Ukrainians are doing their best to hold up Soledar. You see this black color icon, this is actually mines. They threw mine, all these are called the petal mines. They just scatter it across the entire settlement. They're just going to make it extremely difficult for the forces that's fighting here to penetrate through. So they're doing whatever they can. The Ukrainians are currently holding this position as well. They're holding the north. This area is going to be very dangerous, because the Russians have just captured what is it called? A mine. I think some kind of mine here. Oxford mine. Oxford mine. The Oxford is the material they use to make roads. So they have captured this as well. So and given all this progress, it is suffice to say that the redeployment of the forces to the north. So we remember, if you have saw my previous report on this front, or during the summary, the Ukrainians have drawn or redeployed a significant number of forces from the Siversk region, as well as the Bakhmut region, to the north to fight at Liman, at Krasny Liman. So to participate in the Liman offensive, which was successful, but I'm not sure if they got redeployed back to the Siversk front or the Bakhmut front. And as a result, of the number of forces the Ukrainians have in this region has dropped, and perhaps this might be the reason why the Russians are now making progress, where previously they were unable to make progress. According to the pro-Russian sources, there is no significant increase of the Russian troops in this region. So the ability to capture 1, 2, 3, 4 different points suggests that there might be a decrease in the Ukrainian forces that allow the Russians to actually make such breakthroughs. And given that the Russians are attacking Vimka and Vasily, if this information is true, and this information actually comes from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, then we might see that this actually is all Russian controlled. And if these are Russian controlled, then this communication route will be in danger. That means the Russians may be able to capture these two territory and actually penetrate through and cut off this line of communication between Siversk front and the Bakhmut front. Because the Russians have not been able to penetrate through this line, the Bakhmut-Siversk line, the Ivano-Darivka line, it's just not possible. They just tried so many times. The Ukrainians have superior defense in this region. The Russians just have totally no means of breaking through. In fact, even at Sperne, the Russians have not been successful at all. So Siversk front is extremely difficult to break, and perhaps this is the reason why the concentration of forces is now south of Siversk, and they are not fighting. This entire area here is entirely ignored by the Russians now. The only closest thing is that they are trying to fight at Sperne, and even at Sperne they can't really break through. So they are focusing on the southern part of Siversk, and perhaps with this they can actually do the flank upward and attack the rear of Siversk. So this is a strategic situation over at the Eastern Front. I know it seems a bit messy because this front is a bit difficult to cover, because things are happening quite slow, and yet the things happening here will have a huge ramification for the Ukrainian side, because this is actually the most heavily defended area, and if the Russian breakthrough in this area, then things may not be very good for the Ukrainian side. As the Russian forces is going to be reinforced very soon, within a month's time, and this line, if not held, then the subsequent lines will be much harder to hold. So which is why because the next line over here is actually Sloviansk and Kramatorsk already. So those are the two major cities in Donetsk, in the northern part of Donetsk Oblast. So let's see how this goes. Anyway, I hope this is interesting for you. Might be a bit boring if you are pro-Ukrainian. So if you are still here, kudos to you for being interested in what the Russians going to do. And if you are the pro-Russian viewers, these are all encouraging news. I know a lot of arrows, but no. I hope if you follow through, you should be able to understand what all these arrows are talking about. And I'll see you in the next update.